This video is sponsored by GVM.
In this video, I'm gonna show you the difference between warm lights and cooler lights and which ones you should be using. And I'm gonna give you 3 tips for getting cinematic lighting in your videos coming up.
You gotta just press record.
Hey guys, my name is Nolan with Think Media. Now, simply put, color temperature is describing how warm or how cool a light is. And so you can actually measure the temperature of this light in Kelvin. So similar to going outside and saying it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit, I can look at a light like this and tell you that it is 5,000 degrees Kelvin. So Kelvin is the unit that we measure light, and that number before it is telling us how warm or how cold it is. Here's a really easy way to explain color temperature. So right here we have a light by GVM. It's the 560AS LED bicolor lights. And so these lights can be warm and cool. And that's a really cool thing about bicolor LED lights. So right now it's at 6,800 Kelvin. Now, the higher the number, the cooler the light is. This is more similar to what you're going to see outside. And so on my phone, it's connected through the GVM app. I can change the color temperature, and you can see that is changing the color of the light to more of an orange. And so right now it's at 2,300 Kelvin. You can see it's very orange. This is almost like that fire kind of light, or something like a warm lamp that you would see in your house. Now remember that any light is going to have a color temperature. So whether you're outside in the sun or you're inside with an LED light like this, or even a light bulb, they're all gonna have their own color temperature. Now inside your camera, you are gonna see something called white balance. And this goes hand in hand with your color temperature of your lights. And so you want to set the correct white balance to get the most true and accurate colors. And we actually made a video on how to do this, and we walk you through step by step. You can click on the card or check the link in the description to check out that video. So let's light a scene here where we are going to be inside in the daytime. And so we are going to be using lights that replicate the sun and that shaded kind of color temperature. So if you're wanting to add more light to your shot with these LED lights, you want to make sure that the color on these lights match the same color temperature coming through those windows. Now, the cool thing about these bicolor LED lights is it's really easy to do with the knob on the back. You can just change the color temperature right there and match the lights so that it looks like it is sunlight coming through the window. Typically, if you were using bulbs to light a scene like this, then you would need gels to get the right color temperature. And that's really why I love bicolor LED lights, is because it's so easy and so quick to get the right color temperature for your scene. Now, when we were setting up our key light that kind of lights up that main part of my face, we were using these GVM lights. Now, they do say that they go from 2,300 Kelvin to 6,800 Kelvin, but I did some tests on my Blackmagic camera, and I found that you're getting more around 2,500 Kelvin to 5,650 Kelvin. Now, this is still a good range. You're still able to get that warm light like this, and then you're also able to get that daylight type of vibe with that 5,650 Kelvin, although you do need to make sure that it is all the way cool to get that color temperature. So in this shot with that key light, we actually set the light to about 6,700 on the light, even though we were truly getting from the light about 5,600 Kelvin. One of the cool things about these lights is that you can actually power them with Sony NP-F batteries. And so on my hair light, I plugged in those batteries because I didn't want wires going all over the place. And so this made it really easy to just throw it up in the air. And then what was really cool is I could control it from my phone, just sitting down. I could control the brightness and the color temperature just while looking at the monitor, doing it from my phone. This was really, really cool. Starting with that back hair light, we set that up on the C-stand so it was outside of the frame, and we set it to about 2,800 Kelvin to match that lamp in the background. When it came to our key light, we had this just outside of the frame, and we matched it to that daylight temperature. And we had a softbox just like this one on that key light. So it gave a really nice soft effect. And so you can actually pick these up separately. And we'll have links to all this stuff in the description below if you want to pick that up. And so that helped to give a nice soft roll off from the light to the shadows. And with the third light in the kit, we actually use this for a fill light. And so I had a $1 bounce board that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I just simply clipped it to a light stand, and then I bounced the light onto that board. And this gave a really nice soft light onto the left side of my face, where it just kind of filled in those shadows and really made it a brighter shot. Now let's say it's nighttime just like this, and we're shooting something indoors where the color temperature is gonna be a lot warmer. Now, sometimes when shooting inside, you actually kind of want to get that warmer kind of look because our eyes are so used to that daylight color temperature that when we come inside and it's nighttime, we're kind of used to having that warm mood. And TV shows and movies sometimes do this where you see that the shot is on purpose very warm, kind of orangey, and that is because they have these warm lights, and then what they're doing in camera is they're making the color temperature a bit higher than what the lights are at. So in the camera, I could set the white balance to 2700 Kelvin, but you can see that it just looks a little bit flat. I wanted more of those warm tones coming in to really give that warm nighttime lamp type of vibes. So what I did is I actually set the white balance in the camera to 3600 Kelvin, and that is gonna warm up the image. Now, with that being said, let me kind of break down exactly how I set this up so you guys can do the same thing at home. Now, when I set up the shot, I wanted that lamp to be in the shot, to be my motivational light so that I could bring in my key light on that same side. So you can see in the shot that the lamp sits on that right side of the frame. And then I set up my first key light on that right side of the frame as well. And that is going to be coming in, looking like it is a part of the lamp, also looking like it maybe could be coming from a different lamp, but it has that same color temperature, so it looks very natural in this shot. Now, because that LED light is bicolor, it was very quick and easy to get it to the right color temperature to match that lamp. And then I actually removed the diffusion and I kept that grid on there to kind of keep the grid pointing the light directly at what is a shower curtain. So this is $1 and I'm using this on a C-stand to kind of give a big, nice, soft light so that it can go onto me without, that harsh light. Everything looks nice and soft. I also bought some clips from the dollar store to attach that shower curtain to the C-stand. And really with positioning it, I wanted to bring it as close as possible to help get that soft light. And then I just dialed in the power of the light until it was properly exposed. Now already the image is looking incredible, but I wanted to add a little bit of that extra sauce onto the scene. And so what I did is I went outside and I have that kind of moonlight or street lamp, porch light, whatever it is, and I made it as cool as possible, kind of to reflect that moonlight. So I set it all the way to 6500 Kelvin. And you want to use a sandbag. So make sure you're using sandbags whenever you're setting up lights so that nothing tips over. But I used the NPF battery since that light was outside and I didn't have an outlet out there. The nice thing was those Sony NPF batteries were powering the light and have been working all day for me. Now I set up the light by taking off the diffusion and the grid, but I kept on that reflector dish that came with the softbox to give a little bit of extra power because it does make it a little bit brighter when you have that on. Then all I had to do was make sure that the light was not in the frame, so I raised it up and moved it over until it was just out of frame. Now, if you guys are looking to get into some LED lights, I definitely recommend getting something like a bicolor light because it's so versatile. You can use it for something like this where it's nighttime and you have those warm lights, but you can also have cooler lights or daylight temperature lights. And so that is the really cool thing about bicolor LEDs. Coming up next, I have 3 tips for you to get cinematic lighting in your videos so that you can be cool and look like a Hollywood director. But if you enjoyed this video first, I want you to like it and comment down below. Let me know what kind of lights do you use to light your videos. All right, tip number 1 is soft lighting. This is one of the biggest tips when it comes to lighting that I tell people because this is something that I wish I would have learned earlier. Now, hard lighting is when you get that like kind of spotlight onto your face and you get those hard shadows, but soft lighting is a lot softer. It's a lot more beautiful and it just looks good for when you're trying to do cinematic stuff is using that soft lighting. Now, here's a few cheap ways to do it if you don't have a bunch of money to go and get all this lighting gear. One way is to get one of those $1 white foam boards from the store. You can pick them up anywhere and they make a really nice bounce light. Another way is to use a shower curtain. I picked up one for $1 from the Dollar Tree and I actually made a video all about it it. If you want to click on the screen and watch that, you can, but soft lighting is huge when it comes to getting cinematic lighting. Tip number 2 is to add lights at the same color temperature. So you guys saw 2 completely different scenes. The first one was daylight, right? I was in the day, there was a lot of daylight coming through the windows, and I really wanted to make sure that the lights I were using were at the same color temperature. Now, if you're doing something at nighttime and it is motivated by a lamp or these kind of household light bulbs that you get, which are much warmer, you wanna make sure that the lights you're adding are at that same color temperature. A really easy way to match your lights to whatever light source you're trying to match it to is by holding your hand in front of that light source. So let's say this is window light coming through. I can see the color that it casts onto my hand. If I hold it in front of this light, look how orange and how warm it is. So what you can do is simply change the color temperature until you're getting about that same color between both lights. Tip number 3 is to add depth to your shot. Now with lighting, you can actually do this by changing the color temperature in the background. So if you have lights coming in that are cooler like this, by adding some warm lamps to the background, you can really get that cool depth inside of your shots. Cool or warm, because it's warm lights. And that's kind of hot. Now, one of the things we did in that daytime scene intentionally was turn on the light in the hallway. And this added some extra color, some warmth and orangeness into that background that really helped separate the coolness of the foreground with the warmth of the background. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to click on the screen right now, you can actually check out that soft lighting video that I mentioned earlier, where I show you some really cool and affordable ways to get soft lighting. I'll see you guys in the next video.